Welcome to BS session number 12. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be rifles."
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Holistically Speaking podcast.
That is easily the best intro we've ever done. Went off without a hitch. Nobody clicked the button too early. You didn't stumble over the words. It had good inflection, good presentation. You had visual appeal.
Shucks, thanks. You know, I practiced that.
And then I ruined the whole
6
thing
hours today. Right.
You did what for 6 hours?
I practiced it, rehearsed.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Over
I even had a
over.
costume that I decided in the end that I didn't want. Yeah. Father Rooster, yes.
You decided to take the cummerbund off at the last moment.
Had the whole, that's like the what did Jesus wear?
Cummerbund is for the waist. What's
whatever.
the thing on the neck? The shawl.
I don't know.
We don't even know. That's how bad we are.
Oh, hello everybody. Good to be back. Good to see.
Welcome to
two people.
Two
Good to see you, man. You're
well, I made it. I made it in. I made it out.
Yeah.
The jet lag has been real. The furthest I've ever traveled before was, it's a toss up between Thailand and Germany. I think Thailand was probably a little bit further than Germany. But this was fucking crazy. It was like 15 hours of flying, maybe 16. And that's from the one coast to our final destination. I think if you count from where I left, which is Orlando, Newark, Frankfurt, and then Dubai, and then Sialkot. But we spent a couple of days in Dubai first. And I think Orlando, Newark, Frankfurt, Dubai, it was something like 36 or 37 hours or something like that. And then on the way back, Dubai, Zurich, Toronto, Orlando. And by the time we got the one checked bag that was full of samples from the cart or from the carousel, it was 48 and a half hours from when we had left our hotel room to when we left the airport in Orlando. When we left our hotel room in Dubai to when we left the airport in Orlando, it was like 48 and a half hours. Yeah. All I can say is this. Thank God for first class.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had lie flat seats from Dubai to Zurich and Zurich to Toronto. And man, essential. Absolutely essential. Yeah, if you're going, guys, I'm just going to put this out right now. Anybody who does any sort of traveling, if you're traveling anywhere overseas, go first class. Don't bother. Unless you're like 5'4" and like 155 pounds, you can probably survive in coach. But I mean, when you're 6'7" and 245 pounds, coach doesn't work overseas. So
I went to Auckland, Saskatoon, Calgary, LA, Auckland, and that flight between LA and Auckland was 12 hours. That was
that would be horrible. Was that coach?
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you can't fly overseas first class, just don't fly. Just don't fucking do it. Or like sacrifice the money you're going to spend in country and get the first class ticket. Yeah, Jens. There's the pot calling the kettle black. Jens calling somebody elitist. I love you, Jens. Yeah, when I fly overseas, I am an elitist now, 100%. I will fully admit it. I will not fly with the plebs anymore. But, yeah, when I went to Australia, I got lucky. It was Saskatoon, Vancouver, Honolulu, Sydney. So it was only like 5.5 hours to Hawaii, and then I think it was like 8 or something like that, so 7 or 8 hours. Plus, I was 15, so.
Oh yes, yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
When I went to Auckland, I was 23, so not that.
Yeah, that's probably not so bad either. Yeah.
No.
Other than when I was 15, I never flew overseas again until I was 35. And that's too old to fly coach. No, 35? 37. I was 37, I think.
Yeah.
I always fly coach in Germany and it sucks. Yeah.
Well, it's just that stubborn German.
Well, I was just going to say, Jens, I guarantee
Jens is talking to himself. Fuck you, Jens. You're going to like this.
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee you he makes more money than I do, but he's still flying coach. It's crazy. Don't do it, Jens. Jens, what city do you fly into? Just type it. I love how everybody's calling me money bags now because I was flying first class. I will take a fucking loan to fly first class overseas. I don't care. If it means I'm driving the same car for the next 3 years instead of turning it in, then I will do that.
Well, what you didn't tell everybody is that you had to do some panhandling in Dubai once you got there. That's why you stayed for 2 days. That's the real reason, isn't it?
I know what you're alluding to, and wow.
No, I said panhandling.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah. I don't know if any of our listeners have ever been to the United Arab Emirates, but people euphemistically say that it is a contradictory country.
How so?
I don't know about the whole of the Emirates, but Dubai, I'm just going to say, like, it's just a hypocritical city because it's on its face, it's a fundamentalist Islamic country. They still have Sharia laws on the books. I believe that technically speaking, the punishment for theft is still to have 4 fingers of your right hand cut off. I think, don't quote me on that one. I know that it is in a lot of other Middle Eastern countries with Sharia law, but I think that's still on the books. But what for sure is still on the books is that homosexuality is punishable by death. Wow. And so is sodomy. Whether it's homosexual or not, sodomy is punishable by death under Sharia law. And they have rules. Like, I've got photos of my phone from a mall. I think it was the Mall of the Emirates that we were at. And they've got these giant signs at the doorway saying that you should have conservative dress, and that your shoulders shouldn't be showing, and you shouldn't be showing your knees, and don't hold. It's not against the law to hold hands in public, and it's against the law to show public affection.
No service.
Well, never mind that. It's like, right. Don't cover your shoulders, no service. But at the same time, Dubai, from what I understand, Dubai has, if not completely, has practically run out of oil. And that Abu Dhabi and their oil, which apparently they have enough for about the next 100 years or so, they're subsidizing Dubai right now because Dubai's oil revenue is like pretty much hit the toilet. So Dubai is pretty much entirely subsisting on, Abu Dhabi and tourism. Mm-hmm. So they know they need that tourism, and they've set it up for Western tourism. Everything there looks Western, except for the Emiratis wearing their white ropes. I'm afraid I don't know what they're called, but I have one. I had to buy one to go see the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi, but I don't know what they're called. No, I did. Yeah. I had to wear one the whole time because my shorts only covered half of my kneecaps.
Oh,
I'm not lying.
So
goodness. I had to go to a store and I had to buy one of those white Emirati robes so that I could get into the Grand Mosque at like 45 degrees Celsius and 78% humidity. We're walking around outside, just nuts. Anyway, so they need the revenue, the tourism revenue. So they don't enforce a lot of the laws outwardly. So there's women walking around the Mall of the Emirates with like spaghetti straps with their cleavage hanging out, and like tube tops with their stomachs showing, and shorts with their
That's
knees
pretty
showing.
brave.
Yeah, but in Dubai, at least they're not really.
Mm.
My knees haven't seen daylight in decades, says Oscar. Anyway, yeah, they're just letting all that stuff happen. And like prostitution is like highly illegal, but extremely lucrative business there. One of our buddies didn't get his Pakistani visa and he stayed in Dubai. He didn't come with us. And he's walking around the beach in Dubai, and like left, right, and center. He's like a mid-30s, blonde guy, good looking guy, and he's got these like Russian and Asian prostitutes coming up to him all over the place on the beach, and
Really?
and like they're like just trying to pretend that they want to be his girlfriend, but they're all professional prostitutes. And this is supposed to be punishable by death, like by stoning, right? It's adultery.
Hypocritical, eh?
Yeah. So, but basically, as long as it's not outward and in your face, they let anything go on.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
interesting. It's an interesting place. And Pakistan, I got to be honest with you, is even more interesting.
I'll bet.
I don't know how much I want to say about Pakistan, but I'll put it this way: Sialkot is a more rural town, and it was apparently also a pretty major site where the Pakistanis kind of put up their last stand against the Indians when they were separating, when they had their war. And it looks like it was bombed out like decades ago, and they just never cleaned it up.
Oh, is that right?
Like there's just rubble places. There's like empty buildings that look like they've been bombed out and like half fallen apart. There's garbage just like strewn out in the streets. There's barely a paved road.
Like the Detroit of the East.
but like,
yeah,
it's as bad as you think it is.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I mean, the people are just amazing people, though. Like everybody there is just like, they love foreigners, we're going you have to have authorization to get into Pakistan and to get out of Pakistan. Okay, now you have to have your visa ahead of time to get in, but they issue your exit visa upon arrival at the airport.
They
want
to make sure you leave.
Yeah, well, but at the same time, they want to make sure that they don't have a reason to keep you there and put you in jail.
Yeah.
Right. So you go through their border control, then you go through their security screening, then you go through another security screening, and then you're basically there. Scott Chitchell, God bless the women of the night. They were the women of the day, Scott. It was like broad daylight.
Anytime.
Yeah, the women of any time.
The 7-Eleven hookers.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going through all this, and like, this is like, it's sketchy. Like, I don't know how I can describe it. You almost have to like experience it, but like, think of like the sketchiest country you've ever been to in terms of infrastructure and development, and multiply it by 2. Cause like I've been to Thailand. It wasn't near what Thailand was, for example. But so then I put my bag through security, and I've got these organizing caddies inside my bag. And this is my carry-on. So it's all like clothes, and then one of them has all my toiletries. So they're concentrated in one spot in my bag, and the rest of it is just soft clothing. So a couple of times this got flagged going through the x-ray machine. So this like middle-aged Pakistani man with this big ass beard, just looking all serious, looking like he wants to kill somebody. And, they've got like guards with AK-74s standing there, so like, it's, you don't want to fuck around going through there. And he grabs my bag and he takes it over and he's rummaging through it, and he finds the toiletries caddy, and he kind of opens it up and he realizes, oh, this shit's just toothpaste. And so he zips it back up, and once he made sure that I wasn't doing something I wasn't supposed to, he's like, so where are you from? Surprisingly, a lot of these people spoke English. And I tell him I'm from Canada, and he goes, oh, Canada. Well, and he's putting my stuff neatly back in my bag. And
Oh,
I start
yeah,
helping
yeah.
him. He's like, no, let me do it. And like, he put it back exactly the way that I had packed it. And he doesn't just like, you do this in Canada and they like rip your zipper open and fling your zipper closed. He's like, zip, 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 making sure he's taking care of my zipper. And he's like, thank you for visiting our country. Did you enjoy our country? And I said, yeah. I said, this place is amazing. And he goes, thank you very much. And he shakes my hand. And like,
Really?
all of a sudden, this like mean ass guy who you think is about to give you like the rubber glove treatment times 10, he's like thanking you for visiting the country. And he's not an ambassadorial guy. He's just a security guard.
Right. Yeah.
For the, I don't know if it's the army or private security, or I think it's private airport security that they have there.
Probably.
But he's just like, like, thanks for coming to our country, because most people don't, because they think that it's a terrorist haven shithole, which we can neither confirm nor deny. But what I can say is that Osama bin Laden was assassinated only a couple 100 kilometers from where I was. But by and large, the people there are just amazing. I think that they definitely have some governmental challenges.
Well,
but that also puts some
things
things.
For years.
Well, that puts things in perspective for me too. Coming back home, it's a bit of a it's a bit of a two-way street, right? Because on one hand, I take a look at the government there, and I look at how the average Pakistani living in a like brick hut, and with an earthen floor that is literally spooning water out of the open sewer system so that they can, like, I don't know, use it for some reason. I can't imagine they're drinking it. They're still paying taxes if they have a job, but they have like 40% unemployment rate in that country. Right. So I say, if they have a job, you know what I mean? They'll still pay taxes, but there's no infrastructure spending by the government, not in Sialkot anyway. Apparently it's different in the bigger centers like Lahore, Islamabad, Karachi. Those bigger cities have some nicer areas, but they also like, it's that one of those, there's no middle class really to speak of. You're high upper class, or you're like dirt poor. So that's crazy. Most of it is that dirt poor kind of thing. And then we go into private neighborhoods, because one of the manufacturers, it comes from a rich family. And so he wanted to take us to eat at a fancy Pakistani restaurant, which, by the way, I will never eat Pakistani food in Canada again, because it doesn't hold a candle to actually in Pakistan. But you have to pass a security gate, and it's like dirt road, crumbled rubble everywhere. You're going boom, 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 over all these potholes and stuff. And all of a sudden you pass a security gate. There's a guard with an AK, and he lets you in through the gate because you're following the rich guy. And all of a sudden it's paved roads. Right. It looks nice. There's not near as much garbage on the streets. There's nobody in huts. They're all houses. Some of the houses look like quite elaborate, to be honest with you. And you find out that the rich people have like a community association that they pay dues to every month, and the community association keeps the infrastructure going. So like the community association paves the roads, pays for the security at the gates, pays for, the shrubberies and the flowers and all this kind of stuff. Like it's a very, very interesting dynamic in that country. But I'm glad I went just for the experience, let alone for the business benefits. I think everybody should go and see how some other parts of the world live.
I think there's a lot of people in Canada that should go and visit a place like that and see real hardship. Like people that fucking complain about taking 5 minutes in line at Tim Hortons and shit like that. Oh, life is rough. Life is really fucking rough here for most people.
Exactly.
Go to a place like that.
So, like I said, it's kind of dichotomous. It makes you, glad for what we have in our country. But at the same time, you start to see the behaviors of the government in Pakistan, and you start comparing that to some of the behaviors that you see from our current prime minister. And you're like, man, like
This is
could
just
happen.
this is just around the corner if things line up.
Like maybe it never will, but I mean, like you
It
see
has
the
the
same type
potential.
of behaviors. It
Yep,
has the
yep.
potential. And I think
Sure.
about like Afghanistan in the 1960s, you know, by all accounts, they were like a fully westernized country
Yeah, they
in the
were. Yep,
1960s.
yep.
And look at them now. All it takes
Mhm,
is one fundamentalist terrorist organization to take over the country. You know,
mhm.
it's interesting. Anyway, I'm glad I went.
Good. I'm glad to hear the stories.
Yeah,
Should we pay some bills now?
let's pay some bills.
Let's pay some bills.
You got the
All
button, or
right.
do I got the button?
Oh yeah, right. You got the button if you're there. I'm not
Okay.
leaving. All
Sponsors.
right. Hey,
Sponsors.
sponsors. Okay, our first featured sponsor tonight is EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta. They have the tools, the knowledge, and the support you need to achieve your goals of precision rifle mastery. As skilled craftsmen and proven solution providers, EM guarantees equipment performance second to none. Consult with Shane for the build of your dreams and allow Steve to handcraft your next precision tool for an experience you will not forget. Find these gentlemen on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
And our second feature sponsor for tonight is Bolt Action Coffee. For world-class specialty coffee from world-class Canadian Forces veterans, go to boltactioncoffee.com. Order up some coffee for any occasion, and while you're there, check out their great line of apparel, mugs, stickers, and patches. Help support a great veterans organization as well as this show.
Also, we have callsign 66. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca.
And Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergara rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co and grab yourself a Rival 4-32 rifle scope and get on the mailing list for more exciting products coming soon.
And Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. Oscar! Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
And to put on that firearm of whatever flavor, March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca.
Beautiful.
Excellent. All right. So, topic tonight.
I guess Jens was getting a little itchy. He wanted us to start talking about the hunting rifles. So, how about these hunting rifles?
Jens is back there.
Yeah, this is not efficient.
You bumbling idiots.
That was the worst Jens accent ever.
Mine?
Yeah, that was not a good Jens accent.
No,
I'm
my
sorry.
accent comes from a little further northwest of where Jens grew up. You understand, right?
No. I was like,
It's no wonder
northwest
you don't
of
recognize
Berlin?
it. I nailed it. You're just not familiar with it.
Yeah, clearly.
All right.
So hunting rifles. So, the Lord said, let there be rifles.
He did. I'm
And
certain.
we fucked it up for like several million years after that.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Although he kind of fucked it up too, because like we didn't even come along for several million years after that. But anyway,
Well, right. He should have been
or
a little more
5,000 years,
efficient.
depending on which sect you decide to follow.
Right.
If you
Yes,
think that
it's
we were
true.
all running around on dinosaurs with spears, I guess.
I thought it was 12,500 now is the new finding.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yep.
Sure.
I'll go along with that. I'm probably
Look
more
how far
inclined.
we've got.
Yeah, I'm probably more inclined to believe the people from the stars Scientology, self-audit sort of situation. But anyway, so we wanted to kind of like take a look at hunting rifles and kind of see where they're going, because obviously I think we've really, tell me if you agree with this. I think we've had, in terms of firearms for hunting, I think we've had really one major evolution,
Okay.
and that was, obviously starting with your muzzle loaders, muskets, whatever.
Right.
And I think that one major evolution is when
Yes.
we went to the standalone cartridge
Okay.
with
So
rifle
you're
barrel.
even yes. Actually, yeah. It was kind of stuck in my mind that smokeless powder, but I would tend to agree with you more that the cartridge rifle would be far more significant
Which was
as a leap
still
forward.
originally black powder, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose we could call, like, there's obviously been like multiple evolutions that are a lot smaller
Oh yeah. Yep.
along that point.
For sure.
Because we even had rifle barrels before we had the standalone cartridge or the
Sure we did.
self-contained cartridge,
Yep.
as Oscar so correctly guessed where we were going with this.
A self-propelled cartridge.
Have you seen those? What was that gun called where it had the little rocket bullet?
I don't know.
It was it fired a cartridge that had a propellant in it, and after it left the muzzle, it was like a little mini rocket bullet. I can't remember what it was
Really?
called anyway. Yeah, it never really went anywhere. Apparently, it was
Oh,
made in
yeah.
like the 50s or 60s or something. Anyway, somebody will tell us about it. So anyway, if that's our major evolution, and then we've
Okay.
had innumerable smaller evolutions. Gyrojet, Wayne says that's what it was
Gyrojet.
called. It was called a gyrojet.
Wow. I was
And I
unaware.
think yeah, you should look up the gyrojet. It's kind of a cool concept. But some of those smaller evolutions, like you said, the invention of smokeless powder definitely has to be one, right? I mean, if you're upping your pressures and velocities like overnight just by changing your powder, that has to
No
be a
kidding.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then we've had detachable magazine. We've had a lot of metallurgical advancements in terms of being able to develop better accuracy with barrels and consistency and all of those sorts of things.
Not to
Optics,
mention the
obviously,
machinery
the
used
machinery.
to
Yeah,
build those rifles, right? Yeah.
yep, yeah. Not a lot of people are building everything by hand anymore.
No.
Unless you're living in a stall in Lahore making guns by hand. I'm just gonna like fit Pakistan in there wherever I can from now on.
Pakistan
And then
references.
and then obviously we've got bullet evolutions.
Yes.
You go from like
Round ball.
soft points, ball into like polymer tipped ammunition.
Mhm.
We understand aerodynamics so much better now. We've got higher ballistic coefficient with bullets and all of those sorts of
Brian
things.
Litz scrambles my brain every time I try and read something that he puts out. Damn you,
Yeah, I don't
Litz.
even try to read them because my math
Yeah.
no good. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan says bullet design. People are like, you guys are coming up with this stuff just as we're thinking about it. These guys they're on the same track that we're on
They're
right
on
now,
it.
I think.
They're on it.
Jonathan says the brass cartridge was one of the biggest inventions in my opinions.
Well,
Jonathan, you're talking about the transition from paper cartridge to brass, I'm assuming. That had to be big,
Mhm.
right?
That's right. I don't know much about that. I just knew that it was a thing at one time.
Did they do
The
paper
paper
for
cartridge.
did they do paper cartridges for like
Black.
handgun and rifle?
Ooh.
I know they did for shotgun.
Rifle for sure. I don't know about
They did?
pistols. Mm-hmm. Yep, they did. And I think that started out with black powder, because then it was still a self-contained cartridge when they switched to brass. I'm assuming it was brass after paper cartridges.
Didn't they do steel for a little bit too? Or experimented with? I mean, obviously we're still
I
doing steel.
honestly don't know. I don't know at all.
Trav says cap and ball. Yeah, that definitely would have been a good evolution, moving to cap and ball for sure.
Yeah, and I think Oscar's right here. He says paper rifle cartridges are a little different than you are thinking about for paper shot shells.
Okay.
I think wasn't it just the powder charge in the paper, or powder charge and bullet or something?
I
Um,
actually don't know.
I I know I read something about it decades ago, but
Yeah. So Trav
mhm,
says, priming caps. That's obviously another one.
mhm,
And then yeah, John says, brass in terms of waterproofing and shelf life of a cartridge.
yeah,
Also versatile uses for sure.
mhm,
I would say another one is quite simply just the transition from rimfire to centerfire.
mhm. Hey,
That
look at
had
that!
to
I
be
was Yes, that's true. Actually, yeah, I was right
paper
about
tied on the
something.
back of the bullet like a bag of powder.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes
Mm,
sense. Now I'm picking up what you're laying down. Yeah.
okay.
And Nathan says advancements in lenses. Yeah. Optics,
Oh yeah,
obviously.
yeah, for sure.
Even just advancements in iron sights, to be perfectly honest with you.
Can you imagine way back when they first came out with the telescopic sight? You know, those suckers that were about 3 feet long.
So yeah. That
Yeah,
you see
I
on
still
those
want
like
to own
old
one of
Henry
them.
rifles and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Somebody
Uh,
needs to remake those. I would buy one. I would get an
they're
octagonal barreled Henry
right.
and I would buy a modern one and put it on
You
there
can
just for
get them.
shits and giggles.
You can
Can you really?
seriously get them. Yeah, with the external
Or
adjustments on them.
I so need one. I
Yeah,
absolutely need one.
on
That would be
on
cool.
a Spencer or something.
Yeah, exactly. On a Spencer would be great. I was thinking about on a Henry, but a Spencer would probably be barrel better. So Chris says most of that is evolution of a cartridge, not of a firearm. That's true. Although
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just kind of counting them all as part and parcel at this point.
yeah.
Um, one major evolution, Spudman. One major evolution was putting lands and twists in the barrel. Yeah, obviously, going from smoothbore to rifled barrels.
Mhm.
Um, they do make the old style scopes. Yeah, look up Malcolm scopes, says Oscar. Um, yeah, Chris is right here. Another advancement for sure is the autoloader
Yeah,
versus a bolt or a brake or a falling block or
right.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that. Well, I mean, quite
Well,
honestly, the autoloader is how, by a lot of accounts, the autoloader is how Custer got the shit kicked out of him because most of his people were using single shot like Snyders and shit and Spencers is what I meant to say,
hmm,
and the most of Sitting Bull's people had traded for Henry and Winchester repeating rifles.
is
They
that
had
right?
like 8 shots to every one shot that the U.S. Army soldiers had.
No kidding.
Because
Hmm,
by all accounts, um, the uh, the Army Custer
yeah.
was not like really, from what I understand, not really like outnumbered by Sitting Bull's people. It's that Sitting Bull's people had like 8 shots to every one shot that the Army had. Same thing happened.
One of the all-time
Um,
blunders, hey?
I know, right? But it wasn't just in the U.S. that was happening. The same
Mhm.
thing happened at the Battle of what the hell's the name of that hill with Poundmaker,
Oh,
and the British soldiers that happened in Saskatchewan.
hmm,
The Indians like just destroyed. I mean, they had better tactics too. They were in a forested area, and the British were basically setting up like out in the open. And thought, oh, our Gatling cannons will take them down, and then they
right.
ended up destroying their Gatling cannons and basically running roughshod all over them. But from what I understand, they had repeating Winchester and Henrys there too.
Hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, now I'm getting off topic again. So yeah, people are giving us all kinds of advancements here.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
great.
jumping all around here.
Yeah,
Just
Oscar
disorganized
trapdoors.
mayhem.
Yeah, I know, right? Uh, trap doors with crappy copper cartridges, which the ejectors like to tear through the rim of. Yeah, sure. I fully understand that, but it's still probably better than a muzzle loader.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unless you tear the rim off, then that kind of sucks. But
I
so
wonder
nowadays,
how I'm right, or how right I am here. If I'm even in the ballpark here, like you see in the show notes, I just jotted like this was this morning at about 20 after 5 before our
okay,
morning meeting, and I just hammered some things out, just some talking points. But what I had, just kind of high level, sort of sequential. I just went muskets or muzzle loaders, black powder rifles like the Sharps, etc., lever guns. Then the development of smokeless powders. Totally missed the development of the cartridge, self-contained cartridges or whatever. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then along came bolt guns, semi-autos, mountain rifles. It was something like you think back in the 50s or 60s and that, where rifles started to get, you know how old rifles are big and heavy, and they're kind of a man's rifle. Yeah,
A
and,
man's tool.
Ruger comes to mind when they came out with their short light rifles. And then you started seeing African or dangerous game rifles when there were more people traveling to Africa, and once they discovered that there was a whole bunch of big shit over there.
The birth of the nitro.
Yeah, and then like in the 70s and that, you started seeing heavy barreled varmint rifles, short barreled handy rifles. There's all sorts of them that kind of came around in the 80s and that, it seemed to me anyway.
Okay.
And then use of target rifles for hunting, sort of not necessarily gain popularity, but you see the odd guy doing it back, 30 years ago or something. Development of tactical-ish bolt action rifles, like all-purpose rifle, kind of like the Sig Cross, like you have.
If people are not, if they're not actually military, from now on, I'm saying tactical-ish.
That's good.
Like, man, this rifle is tactical-ish as fuck.
Is. And now we're seeing like carbon fiber barreled rifles. We're getting away from. Yeah, absolutely.
That's my tactical-ish as fuck is a carbon barrel on it.
There you go. And then along come chassis and brakes, and you see them out hunting every once in a while. And really, that's where I ended my list. That's where
John's got a good one. Recoil reduction attachments, muzzle brakes, etc.
Yeah.
Also, non-conventional optics. I mean, even just go back to the Terminator movie, the original Terminator movie in the 80s with that holy Jesus laser sight he has on top of that revolver.
Right. Yeah.
And compare that to how small a little RMR sight gets on a pistol now. Right.
Well, and
mind you, that was a laser versus a red dot. But I mean, you understand what I'm saying.
Well, listen, when we were talking to Graham from New Zealand, they're using night sights for hunting their game down there. So some of their game, right?
Well, and thermal optics are available at Cabela's. Yeah. They're still like $4,000, but they're available.
Right. Are they legal for hunting?
Minimum. What's that?
Are they legal for hunting?
They've got to be, right?
I don't know. I mean, how good are they? How useful would they be when you can't hunt during dark hours?
Well, I mean, if you're hunting in a heavily forested area, that could be a major benefit. I mean, it completely removes the camouflage.
I just have these visions of Terminator, or not Terminator. What's the other one with the alien?
Predator.
Thank you. Jesus.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Chris just ruined our whole.
We were just talking about this earlier today.
Yeah. With one comment, Chris brought the whole mood down.
Yeah.
The next big evolution of hunting rifles in Canada will be spears.
Well, good night, folks.
So, talking about the Predator, have you seen the new movie Prey?
I have not.
Okay, I'm going to take a segue real quick. If anyone in the chat has watched, if anyone in the chat has watched Prey yet, let me know in the chat. Christian constitutionalist. I love that name.
No kidding.
That's great. Anyway, okay, Prey. It's a prequel movie in the Predator franchise. And basically, I mean, they fuck it up. They say that it takes place in the Great Northern Plains, but it's in the like in 1719. But they also say that it's the Comanche tribe, and the Comanches weren't in the Great Northern Plains in 1700s. They were in the South, like Texas area. They filmed it in Kananaskis in Alberta, believe it or not. And as far as I know, that's like Lakota territory in the 1700s. But they said that it's Comanche. But anyway, 1700s.
Get on with it.
Call it Great Northern Plains. And a predator, it's supposed to be like the first time that a predator comes to Earth, and he's like hunting on Earth, just the same like the original movie. But he's not as good at it. He doesn't have as much technology. It's 300 years in the past.
Predator colonist.
Exactly.
Or colonialist, whatever.
They've got the colonialists in the movie, not accurately again, but they do have them. But basically, the protagonist this time is like this young Comanche girl. Well, it's not Comanche woman, I guess. And the predator basically is hunting her, and she's the hero of the story. And at first, you look at it like, oh fuck me, another like. Mary Sue, low cash, doesn't need a man. Exactly. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, that is not this. This movie was great. The first Predator movie was awesome. And it's been sliding with every sequel since then. Every single sequel since then has not been held a candle to the original movie. This one, my opinion, just as good as the original movie. And yes, it has a female protagonist, but it's done the way that it should be. She's not the hero because she's an Aboriginal woman. She's the hero because she's the fucking hero.
Right.
And that's all I'll say about it. Everybody should watch it if they haven't. Let's get back to this.
Okay.
Spudman says he's watched it.
Excellent.
So Dan says thermal night vision is a no-go at night. Yeah, that makes sense because we can't hunt at night no matter what optics we're using. But yeah. Not in BC, I think are allowed. So John says, not in BC, I don't think are allowed. A lot of the auto adjusting optics or the auto drop calculator optics for hunting. Interesting. I did not know that.
Well, they're doing all
Scott
sorts of stupid fucking things in BC, though.
Yeah.
Lately.
Well,
holy God.
They're still Canada, right?
Yeah.
So bows have come a long way. Speaking of advancements, I am not going there. Scott will be here all night. That's one segue I'm not taking. Jens wants to go back to the Predator. What was the pronounce of the 300-year ago Predator? I don't know what
I'm not that.
What does he mean?
What was the pronoun of the 300-year ago Predator?
Oh, is that what he's saying? The pronoun?
She, her.
Yeah, she, him, it. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
He, she, it.
He, shit. Anyway, yeah, Nathan said it was a great movie. You can have all the hard drugs you want, though.
Yeah, in
I don't know.
Oh no!
They
passed that law, right?
Did they decriminalize hard drugs?
Yes. Now listen, I don't know if it's actually true or not. There was they proposed it, like fucking,
just fuck off already. Exactly. I mean, on one hand, I suppose I can understand it. At heart, I think I am a libertarian. If you want to fuck up your life, then go ahead, fuck up your life.
Yeah, but the rest of us pay for it.
Well, the problem is what comes along with it, because especially like you're not getting rid of the criminal element with that sort of stuff, and it's a I don't know. It's a complicated topic, I think, because on one hand, fundamentally, I do agree that everybody should have the right to do whatever they want, even if they're fucking up their own lives. But at the same time, if you're going to fuck up your own life, the rest of the country shouldn't be having to,
Right. It's,
carry you around.
I'll bet you it's those same people that, yeah, people should be able to do hard drugs if they want. But fuck those smokers. They can't, they shouldn't have fucking health care at all because we're paying for that. And they're knowingly ruining it. It's.
And that's so hypocritical, right? Like as they're eating a McDonald's cheeseburger for the 10th time this week,
Yeah, right. Exactly right. Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, Wayne says you can use thermal for pest control. I packed a military thermal optic. It works great, but you can hide behind a glass window. So how often do you replace the window? I'm just wondering. I'm asking for a friend.
Wait. Where is it? I gotta
hurry.
Hey!
Oh, better late than never.
Ah, shit.
What is this? Okay, last time I checked, the Gophers hadn't started making glass yet, despite a ready supply of sand. Well, it's true, Oscar.
It is. Yes. Quite an astute observation, really.
That's right. Here,
a wise guy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the modern rifle section and go a little bit more in detail, because our grandparents and our parents and even some of us, we started on the wood stocked rifle.
Sure did.
And we needed to bed the rifle. You started on the musket. We're talking like they needed bedding. A trigger work didn't mean you went out and bought a trigger tech. It meant that you had somebody familiar with machining work on your trigger and make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Typically your barrel had a front sight welded onto it.
Yeah.
And if you had an optic, it's because you drilled and tapped into your receiver.
Right. Yeah.
And your optic was probably a fixed 3 or 4 power.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and it would have been either a fixed floor plate or a hinged floor plate magazine.
Yep.
Right. So then we started getting into the detachable box magazines, and we started looking at synthetic stocks and better optics, obviously.
That's true.
Better barrels as well. Yeah. And I think that was probably a pretty big evolution. We were keeping the same kind of weight. People were still betting synthetic stocks, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You're still betting your stock.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you would start to see rifles that had at least like a dovetail, or you could put a weaver rail on it for an optic.
Just drilled and tapped for whatever mounts. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Scott Chitchell says free floated barrels. I'm going to argue a little bit.
Okay.
When you get into the modern sporting rifle, or not, I guess maybe that's a different term now. But modern-ish hunting rifles. You look at Weatherby. They still put the little bump in the fore end of the stock, especially with their featherweight barrels, just to give that barrel a little bit more stable harmonics, I guess you'd say. A little bit of pressure, forward pressure on that barrel. So it's not, you're not wrong, Scott, but you're not 100% right. That's still in practice today, although it's less and less common, I think.
Although isn't that what a major purpose of bedding your barrel was for? Was to try and free float it?
Betting your action,
or yes, betting your action.
Yes and no, but it depends. Like if you've got a heavy enough barrel where it's a more stable barrel, you want a free floated barrel, generally speaking. Oh, yeah, if you have the pencil thin barrels like some of the ones that Weatherby puts out, there's a high energy cartridge in a mountain rifle sort of thing. They'll put that little bump in the fore end of the stock to put that forward pressure on the barrel halfway down, sort of thing. So,
I heard once, I think it was Bloke on the Range I was listening to, and they said that when, like, even the Enfield rifles, they had all that wood and the clamp over the wood on purpose,
right,
to prevent harmonics in the barrel, because the way that they were making them, if you free floated that barrel, you would actually lose accuracy because they had poor harmonics.
Yeah.
And that by clamping it down, it actually made it better. And that a lot of people, when they sporterized those rifles at the end of the war, they
Mhm.
actually ended up with a worse rifle than it would have performed during the war.
Oh, burn,
I
Yenzi.
know, right? What Jens say? But we came so far with modern hunting rifles, but there's still people that are buying a Sig Cross. Says the guy who uses a fucking PRS rifle to hunt.
Scotty, yes, you're absolutely right. Even if it is wrong, if it's consistent, it's accurate. You damn right.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Castillo, he says my first rifle is a Remington 7400 carbine in 30-06 that was my mom's. Funny enough, I've shot more bucks with it than her. My count is 1. Yeah, that's funny. You know what? My first centerfire rifle was a Remington 760 pump 30-06, and
Oh.
Man, for the longest time, that's all I had. I shot everything with that thing. Everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a great gun for what it was.
My
But
first gun that I hunted with was a Parker Hale,
nice.
Parker Hale Safari in 243.
No kidding. I had the same
And
thing.
did you really? Fuck,
Yeah,
who
it's still
didn't
out
in
at the farm.
Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
But the first rifle that I ever got an animal with
Mhm.
was a Parker Hale Safari 3000 in 270.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's
Can you
funny.
hear my dog barking?
Yep. Oh, it's not that bad.
I wish he'd just shut up.
So, Jonathan Bergen do we want to follow this?
Sure.
Sure. He
I-
says, "Hey, I'm with Jens. I use my rifle I had with intensive shooting PRS for hunting, and it works wonders." So, that was one of the things I had written down. That
I think that is definitely an evolution.
it it is, and I noticed back years ago, people were telling me, what do you do low development for hunting rifles for? And why do you go to the nth degree? This is back when I was hunting coyotes like crazy. And I get that Parker Hale 243 with 58 grain VMAX is shooting inside a quarter kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
really?
but
That's my Parker Hale
it
doesn't shoot very
it
good.
was impressive like crazy. But the confidence that it gave me was unreal. I felt like I could make damn near any shot. And I brought home a lot of damn coyotes. And I think that's where a lot of guys are how do I say, they're using their PRS type rifles for hunting because they have that level of confidence. They know that it'll shoot the eye out of a gnat.
Yeah.
That's an assumption on my part, but I think I can see the reasons why. Let's face it,
They don't
not.
want it to be the equipment for why they miss.
That's right. They're not an easy rifle to haul around and get into position, an awkward position, a standing shot on that huge elk scooting across the paddock at 150 yards. It's not an easy rifle to use, but
Yeah.
in the fashion that they're using them in, I think it gives them a lot of confidence. That's just my take on it, anyways.
It's interesting. I mean, generally, where I hunt, it's a mixture of pasture land and forest.
Mhm.
It's on the southern tip of a rather large forested area, and I also the type of hunting I like to do. I like pushing bush,
Right.
and at the very least, I like pushing out to an area and just sitting.
Mhm.
Most of the time not in a blind, but when you're walking all those distances and you're not you're not trucking it. Meaning the 4-wheeled kind. Having a lighter rifle and having an ergonomic rifle is huge. It's absolutely huge.
Yep.
And so I've hunted with that. Like I say, that Parker Hale is not particularly heavy. I've never weighed it, but I mean, they're not a heavy rifle.
Sure.
8.5 and that was all fine and good, but it's an old straight style wood stock, and the ergonomics aren't the best that's available.
Right.
Then after that, I was hunting with a Remington 700 with a Magpul stock on it, with a heavy varmint VTR barrel on it. And although it's not even near PRS heavy, it's still heavy. Like it's like 11.5 pounds or something like that. And I found like it was fine to carry around, but after you've been traipsing through, shin deep snow all day, carrying it around becomes tiresome.
Sure.
And that's why I switched to the Cross, but the ergonomics were better with that Magpul stock, right?
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Because the angle on the buttstock is a lot more aggressive, right? And that's why I switched to the Cross, because it has, like, for me, the big thing with the AR platform, it's the ergonomics of it, right? I mean, the pistol grip, and if you don't like the angle of the pistol grip, buy a different pistol grip. There's multiple angles available, and being able to make it lighter weight, and having a fully enclosed handguard, all of those things make it very easy to push around bush with. But if I was hunting out in the open prairie, where I could watch my hunting dog run after an elk for 3 days, I think, yeah, exactly. I might opt for a PRS rifle to hunt with too. But I'll tell you this, I'm not walking around out in the open prairie.
Right.
Because I'm never going to see a goddamn thing, because it's going to see me long before I see it.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in one spot on that prairie and I can see, damn near a kilometer or more away from me, I might see one deer going from one tree line to another tree line. And in that case, I might want that PRS rifle.
Right. Yep. 100%. If you know how to use it, for sure.
Yeah, I don't, but
I was going to say, do you ever see yourself hunting with that EM precision rifle that resides at your house?
Honestly, I don't, especially not where I currently hunt. If I ever get invited to hunt somewhere, maybe a little bit further south than I currently hunt, where it is mostly fields and open area, I might consider it.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, I've had this Cross out to, did I shoot this at your place? No, I haven't.
No.
So the furthest I've had it is about a kilometer at Nose Hill.
Right. Did you get out that far?
I got out that far with the 178 grain ELDXs after I got that 200 grain ELDX stuck in my barrel.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I didn't get out to they go to what, like 1,300 meters or something like that.
Yes.
And I didn't get out all the way out. It was like the one that's behind the buffalo. That's like 900 and some odd meters, isn't it?
I can't remember, but yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So like, I'm confident enough, like out to close to a kilometer. But yeah, anyway, I'm a walking tree stand, says Spudman. I do have a good angle. I'll tell you, 3 years ago, I bagged a deer with a headshot at about 35 meters. And it's because there was like a mound. I don't know if it was natural or from beavers or what, I don't know, but there was a mound and I was crouched down behind it and this deer was coming towards me out of the tree line. And like, I was just outside the tree line and I basically just watched him just like peeking over this little thing, like only my eyes were visible.
Really?
Kind of thing. I just watched him come towards me. And then I just kind of stood all the way up because I was just hunkered a little bit.
Mhm.
So I kind of stood all the way up so the barrel was over the mound line. And I got him with a headshot. I didn't even have to move. I just like kind of crouched a little bit behind this mound that was about, I don't know, 6 feet tall or so. And yeah, there are advantages. But you know what? If I need to get something, I'll tell you this: dragging that deer out of the tree line to where I field dressed it, that was hell. Anything that I need to bend down and grab is not a fun day for Chris.
No.
So there's
So-
advantages and disadvantages to everything.
So what have we really accomplished here tonight?
Nothing.
Talking,
Not a goddamn thing.
So many factors. There's
Yeah.
there's so many
Pakistan's
variables.
government is corrupt. The UAE is hypocritical.
I forgot
There's a
all
whole
about it.
bunch of stuff going on. Prey is awesome. Watch it. And hunting rifles are like whatever the fuck.
Right. Oh, and then there's archery.
Oh, and archery.
God.
And by the
Yeah.
way, guys, don't roll your eyes at the choice of weapon of the girl in Prey, because I mean, you know, they brought a minigun into the forest in the original movie. So I mean, let's
That's
just keep it in perspective.
Oh hell. Where does it go next, do you think? Hunting rifles.
Hunting rifles, I think it's going multiple directions. I think that's what's cool. And we've kind of already talked about that. I like the chassis rifle, or not the chassis. Well, I guess it is. Well, it's not a chassis, it's a receiver. I like this route with like the light ergonomic rifle that I can
Right.
carry around. Jens likes the PRS rifle. I think that that's just going to continue in two different directions. I think that guns like the Sig Cross, the modern hunting rifles, are going to become more modern hunting rifle. And I think that, you know, PRS rifles are going to continue to improve. And, you know, guys like Jens are going to continue to get the new hotness in that along that vein.
Mhm.
I honestly think that there's a third branch of people that are looking, especially in the US, maybe not as much in Canada, but there seems to be a real push for the heavy, slow moving subsonic hunting guns.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You look at like the 8.6 Blackout, people are starting to get kind of excited about that. They're shooting like 300 grain 338 bullets
Right.
at like 1,000 feet per second.
No
And
kidding.
I'm watching videos right now. People are testing those out to 700 meters.
What?
And yeah, and they're getting enough energy to fell a deer at 600 and 700 meters with a subsonic 338 pill.
Goodness.
The video I watched the other day was a 270 grain. I think it was an ELDX 338 pill, and it was traveling 1,000 something. It was under 1,100 feet per second, and he was making hits with a bolt gun with a 9-inch barrel and a 1-in-3 twist. And he was making hits out to 700 meters. What's Jens saying now?
Yenzi for the second greatest burn of the night. I just buy 9-pound PRS hunting rifles because I don't fly first class. Boom.
I but balls of steel.
Fucking
Oh,
Jens.
shit.
See, and Wayne says, you know, 45, 70, 500 grain bullets.
Mhm.
You know, people have already been hunting with like the 300 Blackout in subsonic loads.
Right.
Right. People are hunting with 6.5 Grendel in subsonic loads. I think that that's going to continue to develop as well, and I think it's pretty cool. It chaps my ass that we're missing the boat on that in Canada.
Yeah.
Because like, man, I would 100% hunt with an 8.6 Blackout, 270 grain subsonic bullet in the bush at 100 meters. Like you could take down an elephant with that shit. I mean, not really, but I mean, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. You know, it's
And there's probably
disturbing.
going to be other veins too that you
Yeah,
know that
sure.
are branching off, right?
Oh yeah, it's like there's so much going on right now in firearms, so much development and everything. It could go a multitude of ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Ways we can't even think of. You know, it's a disturbing thought that has gone through my head tonight.
Counterburn from Nathan.
Long range hunter is code for can't sneak in close enough. Yeah.
Well, I believe I already regaled everybody with my 35-meter headshot story.
Right. Regaled. Look that one up in your Funkin' Wagnalls, folks.
That's right.
That's funny. This disturbing thought of mine, given the green
Okay.
movement and all this bullshit, even if we
Yep.
still have guns by the time it gets to this point, some sort of biodegradable shell and bullet.
The shells are already there. Wolverine Supplies is bringing them in.
What? Okay, and enlighten us, regale
I
us,
forget what they're
if you
called.
will.
They're called something like BioSteel or BioShell or something like that. I think that it's a steel pellet cartridge shell thing.
It's
It's
just
shooting
Chinese
steel.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. But the shell and the casing and the wad are biodegradable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe we're going to come up with some sort of like a hardened foam bullet that when it gets in contact with water, like, a deer's blood, it just disintegrates into nothing.
Now that's just stupid.
It could happen.
It could happen.
Wayne
Piper.
thinks that caseless ammunition
Oh.
is the next progression, and he may not be wrong.
How now describe that? What is caseless ammunition?
Well, I from what I understand,
What am I going to
most of
neck
what-
turn?
Well, you got to figure something out. If you're sitting there turning your old 308s like an old man, back in the good old days,
Yeah.
we had to turn the neck on our cartridge. Anyway, as far as I know, like most caseless ammunition is like, what do you call it? Railgun stuff, isn't it? Like electromagnetic gun.
Oh shit!
I don't know if anybody's doing a propellant caseless ammunition in a shoulder fired gun, are they? Was the G11 caseless, Jens? I didn't. I've seen pictures of the G11. It's like, HK. Okay, well maybe that was caseless. Yeah, it looks like a giant rectangle. The G11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? It was developed in the 70s and it doesn't exist anymore. It kind of shit the bed. So maybe caseless ammunition won't be the next evolution. But I think polymer cases might be a thing.
Yeah. Well, but polymer isn't plastic. That's single-use plastics,
Well, you can make bioplastics, though.
I guess so, yeah.
That's a thing.
We're really not solving fuck all here, are we?
Were we supposed to, though?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, shit.
Maybe we should just leave it for the rest of the world to figure it out.
That's probably good policy since we seem to be going in circles and you and I are better suited for actually being out in the field and in the reloading room making,
Yeah. But here we are every Friday night.
Every Friday night. Well, almost every Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a good record lately.
Yeah. So Spud says, I heard that SIG will be making 223 and 308 win with that new case tech like their 277 Fury. That's correct. They have announced it. No, but they announced it like 2 years ago. Nobody's seen any. But then again, like we've barely even seen the 277 Fury on the market either.
No,
so I think the pandemic put a pretty big dent in their plans with that. But I also heard that SIG's having trouble getting other companies on board to make their cartridge.
Oscar brings up a very good point. little bit of a sidebar from what
What's
you're.
that?
He says, if we all agreed on what makes a good hunting rifle, there wouldn't be dozens of manufacturers with dozens of models. Absolutely correct. And we wouldn't have the variety that we enjoy today.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine
Well,
if there were only like our domestic auto manufacturers, the big three, and that's all we
oh
had to
yeah.
choose from? That would kind of suck.
Do you know we wouldn't have an industry?
No.
I think the only reason that the industry has survived this long is because there's enough of a variety that the fucking anti-gun dipshits can't
Yeah,
sue all of them at once.
that's right. Yeah. Yep, for sure. And the innovation
They just let
come out of
Remington
a
take
lot.
the brunt of it for like 15 years, and
Right. No kidding. And they're still
they're,
hammering on them.
they're
Now
still
they're after
hammering on it.
Smith and Wesson now too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that letter that Smith and Wesson put out a little while ago?
Which one?
I don't know. There was I think it was a rebuttal to a suit or a lawsuit threat or something like that.
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
Basically, fuck you. We supply pistols for the law enforcement that protect you, and we supply pistols and firearms for people that want to protect themselves from shitty people. So go fuck yourself. We're going to continue to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so they should. So Oscar makes another very good point. What would we argue about over drinks at hunting camp if everyone was using the same rifle?
100%. It'd be just some old guys drinking, saying nothing.
Yeah. Well, I agree with everything you're saying, Jim.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at the time.
I tend to also think that you are right, Pete. Well, we might as well hit the hay. You got an early
never noticed before, but you're a rather attractive man. and then hunting camp goes to shit after that.
Everything was going fine up until everyone started using the same rifle.
It would all fall apart just like that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know where we went wrong. Dan says the U.S. military might have a thing to do with that SIG round. I mean, obviously, definitely they do. But, I mean, they're going to have to start producing that 6.8 military round. I mean, who knows when they're actually going to start outfitting. But from what I understand, SIG has already stockpiled like multiple millions of the military version of that card, the 6.8 military version of that cartridge.
Who in the U.S. military is going to use them? You see the way that the armed forces in the U.S. are going, with all the diversity and inclusion shit.
Well, man, we're no better.
Well, no, I'm not saying we are, but I mean, we're talking about the U.S. at the moment.
It's true. Although I have to be honest,
those fucking snowflakes probably just will refuse to pick up any sort of arm at all.
Well, and that's what's fucked. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there should be one criteria to enter the military.
Yeah.
Do you want to defend your country? And are you willing to kill someone else to do it?
Yeah.
Like I think Dennis Leary said it best, and I'm going to really paraphrase. It's like, do you like to fuck other men? I don't care. Here's a gun. Go.
Right.
Do you like to fuck sheep? Here's a gun and a sheep. Go. You know, as long as you're willing, as long as you want to defend your country and you're willing to kill another person to defend your country, then that should be the only criteria. But the problem is that all this horse shit, they're bringing people in that won't. Right. And, you know, from what I understand, this is happening in the RCMP also. You know, I hear all these stories from people that are in the RCMP, and of course I can't substantiate them, but I hear stories about people that are in training at RCMP depot in Regina and refuse to pick up a gun to qualify.
Shut your mouth.
I've heard, like, I can't substantiate these stories because I'm not there. I'm not at RCMP depot. But I've spoken with people who are at RCMP depot, and these are some of the stories that I'm hearing, that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel so bad that they're bringing pacifists who won't even pick up a gun in training to qualify with it into depot. Now, I don't know if those people are making it through depot and are becoming officers.
Right.
But I mean, it's a bit of a scary story just to hear that that's happening even in training.
Can you imagine? You know, like, we go through this, and at work. You get some contractors that bring people that they just don't give a fuck about work. You hear this term quiet quitting,
Yeah.
Shit like that. And
Yep. They're checked out, but they still show up.
right. This is what this is a whole other episode. But this is what we're faced with now. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. Nathan says he could be Soviet. Choices are Mosin or Mosin.
Right. I'll take the Mosin, please.
Have they they really haven't, the Soviets, what bolt guns do they have these days? What modern bolt guns do they even have?
I'm not sure.
Do they it's all AK all the time with those people?
They came out with some wild sniper rifle. It was like a 12 millimeter round or some damn thing, or well, I guess that's about a 50. But something
like a Dushka round or whatever. I forget. It's a little bit bigger than the 50 caliber that the Dushka fires.
I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but it's like they're bragging it up that it can easily make hits out at 6 kilometers or some stupid thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about the same people who said that they invented a fully autonomous robot, and then it came out that it was a guy in a suit.
Really?
No, that actually happened. I'm doing a Google search here. Russian robot, guy in suit. Yeah, Russian robot thought to be real, turns out to be a man in a suit. So they went and announced this fully autonomous robot, and they let it interact with the people and all this kind of stuff. And then apparently somebody leaked a photograph from behind the stage, and it's just a dude in a suit.
That's awesome.
And I think that is the state of Russia right now.
Yeah.
They've been talking for so long about how powerful they are, and our military's this and our military's that, and all that kind of shit. And all of their military might is just a nerd in a suit. I genuinely think that's all they are.
Well, it's appearances. It's just like fishing. It's all in the presentation.
Yeah, exactly. So Spud's asking, if SIG makes 223 and the 2308 hybrid case, will our current firearms handle the pressure? Some probably. What I can tell you is I contacted International Barrels because I know that the SIG Cross, the factory barrels, are made to handle the pressures of their hybrid case.
Oh, right. You did that, make that inquiry. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So I contacted IBI because that's who I bought my carbon fiber barrel from. And they said that they have not officially, they haven't spent the money to do the official testing because the cartridge isn't even on the market. He said, but they built the barrel so that it should have absolutely no problem with those hybrid cases. That being said, would I fire a 308 hybrid case with all those pressures out of my VTR? I might think twice before I do.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen those new pristine actions? I think they're in BC, these guys. British Columbia, Canada.
Okay. Oh, is that BC?
That's for our listeners, you jackass.
Oh, I'm sorry. Carry on. Thank you for properly educating our listeners.
It's a new bolt action, and is it beefy? It has wall material on it like crazy. It is thick.
Really?
And something like that would have
designed
no
as a
problem.
PRS action, or
I think so. Yeah, that's the kind of the way they've been advertising it, target rifle type thing, for sure. Yeah. BC is behind Canada. Yeah.
Although Spud, I think so. Spud's saying 223 and 308 hybrid case from SIG. I was just thinking, I don't know if they've announced a 223. They've announced a 6.5 and a 308.
Well, maybe they have announced the 223 and you just don't know about it yet. You ever think of that, fucking smart guy first class?
Anything is possible,
Mhm.
but this type of confusion happens when they announce it, and 2 years later, it's not a single
Yeah.
one exists.
Yeah, that's right.
I am aware for sure that they've announced a 6.5 and a 308 and a 277 Fury. Obviously, is a hybrid, but to my knowledge, they haven't announced the 223.
It'll be interesting to see if and when they do come out. It'll probably set current. How do I say the whole idea of what ammunition is kind of on its ear. I would think. It's an interesting concept.
Speaking of trends, this is a trend that I've noticed. People seem to want to have shorter barrels,
Yes,
high twist rates,
yeah,
and large high BC bullets.
shorter barrels for what? For hunting, I suppose. Yeah, I think so.
Sure. Well, I mean, man, I'll be honest with you. Even though the subsonic is kind of useless here, I 100%. If I could build this Sig Cross,
right,
with a 9-inch barrel, let's say, instead of the 18-inch barrel that's on it, half the length,
right,
and go hunting with a 2,400 foot per second, 338, 300 grain bullet, in an 8.6 blackout, I still 100% would do that.
Boy, you don't want much, do you?
Well, but that exists. Like this is already a reality. The 8.6 blackout cartridge is a thing. People, I don't know if
But
the 300
that kind of
grain,
velocity though is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if they're getting those velocities with
okay.
the 300 grain, but people are getting the 2,400 feet per second velocities with that bullet in the 8.6 blackout. Probably the smaller grains, I would imagine. Did I freeze or did you? Anyway, but they're shooting them out of like 9-inch barrels with a 1 in 3 twist. Like, I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And even
wonder what they
the
run for
308.
pressure. Yeah.
Well, you got to believe they've got some pretty decent pressure in there.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Velocity
what
is
else
a direct byproduct of pressure, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And 2,400 feet per second is pretty impressive out of a 9-inch barrel.
Amen.
But then again, this that I've got, this is 2 inches longer than the factory Sig Cross in 308. This is an 18-inch barrel, and by the factory, it comes with a 16-inch barrel. And remember when we put the lab radar, or I don't know if I told you or not, I put the lab radar on the original barrel just before we swapped it out for the carbon fiber.
Okay.
And I was getting 2,600 feet per second out of a 178 grain ELDX bullet out of a 16-inch barrel.
Wow.
And with this 18-inch barrel, I'm getting, was it just, you should have it on the lab radar. I know I lent it to you, but
right.
I think it was just under 2,800 feet per second.
What?
I'm pretty sure it was over 27.
Wow.
I should look that up again. I wonder if, because I'm not connected to my lab radar.
For a bloody 308, that's good velocity, man.
I know it blew me away, especially something that small, right? Well, how about this? When I fixed my 200 grain load and retested it, and I had the proper 42 grains instead of the 45 grains that got the case stuck.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Oh, is it going to focus there?
There we go.
That was my average out of a 200 grain ELDX bullet.
Good God.
2,400 feet per second out of a 200 grain bullet out of an 18-inch barrel.
Wow. That's got some thud to it.
So that's probably going to be a thing going into the future. Shorter barrels, high BC bullets, and like mid-level velocities still.
Right. Yeah. I wonder though, like there's I don't know. Speed is such a tempting thing with almost
Mhm,
everybody, and
mhm.
I'm talking specifically, really the hand loaders.
Everybody wants to break the 3,000 feet per second barrier.
Well, you know what? Speed kills. It really, really, really does,
Yeah.
and to a
So
point.
there's a 300 grain bullet traveling 1,000 feet per
Well,
second. So,
this is true, but I don't think it computes as well as
yeah,
speed.
for sure.
To 99% of the hunting hand loaders' minds out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if I hit him hard, uh, he's gonna the animal's gonna go down, sort of thing. And then you get into bullets. So, like with okay, let's pick on the Burger VLD. There's a lot of people that feel they're a great killing bullet, but you have to moderate the velocity, otherwise, and distance.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, the damn thing's going to blow apart on contact almost. And
Sure.
there's lots of bullets out there like that. On the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum are like the Barnes solids. Uh,
Mhm. The
where
solid
you
coppers, you
have
mean?
to, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to drive them hard to get them to open up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a trend one way or the other with velocities and bullet weights. I think guys are going to continue to use whatever,
Yeah.
depending
It's
on
all going
what
to
their
divert.
personal. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and here's like case in point. I mean, you've got Jens who likes he hunted with his 6x47 last year, didn't he? Or did
No,
he?
his 300 short mag.
Oh, it was a 300 short mag.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But what sort of velocity is he getting out of that bullet?
I can't remember. I think he's 3,100 or something like that.
So like there's your speed chasing right there.
Absolutely,
A 300 short mag over 3,000 feet per second.
with a
Like that.
180, I believe,
Yeah.
185. Yeah,
That thing's booking. Like there's no question about
absolutely.
that.
Well, and when it
Then
hits
you've got
something, there's no
Oscar.
question that that's doing some
Exactly.
damage. Right.
Then you've got Oscar, who's been talking about 500 grain 4570s and
Yeah.
410 grain bullets at 2,300 feet per second.
Well,
Jens says 185 grain at 2,920 feet per
yeah.
second.
Sorry,
That's booking. Like
it is. Yeah.
that's high speed. Then you got Oscar, who's obviously the like
Right.
knock them over off their feet with a medium moving heavy bullet.
Yeah. 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 And then there's Dan,
Yeah.
just above that. With another extreme, there's guys in the U.S. that hunt elk with 10 and a half
Short
inch
barrel.
5.56. Yep.
Yeah.
With a 77 grain bullet, and I don't
Mhm.
doubt that one second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I
all
think
over
people are
there.
just this is the beauty of shooting. This is the beauty of
Absolutely.
guns and the beauty of hunting.
God, it
There's
feels
a
so warm and
million
fuzzy.
ways to skin a cat. We do not condone skinning cats. And
Oh, wait. Don't
different strokes.
dismiss it.
Poisoning, sure, but skinning, that's
Oh,
just cruel.
I see. Okay.
No, I'm not a fucking psychopath. Anyway, I think that's just going to continue. It's always going to be the different strokes for different folks, and it probably should be. I think that's the way to do it.
Yep.
So,
All
so
right.
375 with a 270 grain at 2,800 feet per second hasn't let me down yet either.
Well,
Yeah,
that is Oscar's cat skinner.
yeah. It blows the cat right out of the skin.
That's right.
Just like who was that politician that said that the 9mm bullet will
Biden.
blow the lungs out? Was
Blow
it
the
Biden
lung
that
out
said
of the
that?
person. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where's my
Jesus
teeth? Yeah. What if you need a slipper? I don't know what that means. What if you need a slipper?
A slipper. Oh, skinning cats.
Who wears cat slippers?
Fuzzy slippers. Well, who really? I guess
And
Dan
this
and
was
I
the day
hang
that I
around different
found out.
circles.
Yeah, clearly. This is the day we find out who is a sociopath and who's not.
Stop it.
Anyway, let's
Yeah.
cool this shit down, huh?
All right.
Before we start talking about skinning other things that we shouldn't talk about. Hey guys, if you're still watching us and you haven't hit like or thumbs up on YouTube or anything else yet, please do that now. It helps us out. And please check out the show at facebook.com/BS podcast. Leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Only we recommend this only. If you give us we don't recommend this, we will hunt you down. We know where you live. Also, if you like, we'll skin your cat. I'll poison it. He'll fucking skin it. Also, if you like the content, please, we're not serious RCMP. Like if a cat dies tomorrow, please don't knock on our door.
That's right.
There's
been a rash of cat skinning in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's the worst kind of company.
I have an alibi. I'm about 600 miles north.
I have an alibi. I'm not a fucking psychopath. I'll say it again.
Prove it.
Yeah, exactly. Show me your basement. Also, if you like the content, please leave a like on the page and share. Also, email us any questions that you might have. We'd love to hear from you. info@bspodcast.ca. Even if you want to just tell us a stupid story, you tell us a dumbass story. The dumber the story is, the higher the chances we'll read it on air. If it's not a dumb story, if it's not an interesting story, forget it. But if you got a cool story, we'll read it on air for sure. Once again, a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you guys, we'd be two idiots talking to each other with practically nobody listening. So thank you all in a measurable amount. And thank you to our listeners. You guys are the glue that holds this together, the meat in our sandwich. You're the skin on our cat.
Amen, brother.
Don't look here for character witnesses.
Hallelujah.
Oh my God. All right. Before somebody says something that gets ceases knocking on their door, let's close it down. Thanks for listening, everybody.
All right.
We'll talk to you all next week. We're on next week, right?
Yes. Well, okay.
Then,
so next week, I will be out at the Twisted Rooster Rifle Ranch with Rick for some CRPS events. Thursday, we have the Sniper Series going, and Friday is King of 0.22 miles, and Saturday and Sunday is the CRPS Nationals. There at my range out by Saskatoon.
You gonna be a busy boy.
I'm gonna be a busy boy, and
so are we talking? Are we looking at just doing a short one, or what are we looking at?
I think so. I think I'll get Rick on Friday night, and talk about the happenings out there, and
cool.
Yeah, you betcha.
And
might as well take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. And then the weekend after that, maybe we'll have to figure it out. But I mean, like, I'm at TACOM the weekend after that, and you're at.
No, there's a weekend in between there.
Oh, am I thinking too far in the future?
Yes, you are. Because the following week I go to ELR camp at Rob Furlong's in near Hannah, Alberta.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
Wednesday, Thursday,
that's the weekend of the 3rd,
the 31st and 1st.
Yeah,
and then
the weekend after that is King of 2 Miles and TACOM.
Yeah,
okay.
You betcha.
Well, I mean, like, we're not slowing down. We got a lot of shit coming up. Also, you guys may have noticed we just put a brand new video up on our YouTube channel about my piston braking on my WK180C. So if you're so inclined, please check that out. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up. And we, in the next couple of days, we'll be putting out part 1 of Kurt's review of the Bergera B14.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So everybody keep your eye out for that one, because if you're tired of seeing my ugly mug in the reviews, it's Kurt's turn.
Kurt's Ramblings, number 1, coming up next week.
And I won't spoil it for everybody, but the best line is something to the effect of "Get out of here, B." Watch the video and then you'll know. All right. Now we're gonna. Oh, we got more comments. Do we need to read these, or?
Well, why not?
Oscar's gonna consider a road trip. Perfect.
Yeah.
Jens will be out there Friday night. Perfect.
Gotcha.
And everyone else just, hey, Joel. Joel's listening. Joel, we need some pictures of you shooting that rifle, dude.
Oh, that's right.
He's
too.
making us wait
Not
for them
just
because
upholstery, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's great stuff, but we want to see some guns.
But he's making
One
us
in
wait
particular.
because I made him wait so long for the magazine that I forgot to ship.
You did get it to him, though, eventually, didn't you?
I did,
Okay.
but it was like 4 weeks. It was too long. I made him wait way too long. But,
Shit.
yeah. Anyway, all right. We're going for real now. Have a good night, everybody.
All right.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.